I look extra peggable today. Why do I look that way? Do I give off those vibes? So let's talk events. We still got events coming up with everything that's going on with COVID. Basically, I made this tweet because a specific reason. What's happening with the world right now really fucking sucks. And I think that it is especially hard on tournament organizers. However, I realized through some of the things I've been reading that a lot of people don't actually realize that it's not on the tournament organizers' hands. It's not on them. I never tweet this sort of thing ever because I'm very close friends with a couple of tournament organizers. I don't refrain from tweeting it just because I care about them. I refrain from tweeting it because I also have insight as to what they have to deal with when they're running an event. And I realized that a lot of the anger and comments that were being tweeted about events continuing on in light of the more recent COVID scares, I realized that those people might not be aware that it's not on the TOs for the most part. And so I wanted to put out this PSA. I'm not mad at the people saying like, you know what? X event is too dangerous, don't go. Or X event is still running, what the fuck are they thinking? I'm not mad at those people. They don't know. All they're seeing is that COVID is going f***ing crazy, and then there's going to be an event with thousands and thousands of people. So I put out this PSA because this is my insight. And it might not hold true for every single situation, but for the most part it is. Okay? So I'll read it now, just so you guys can see. PSA. When an event is planned in advance and the COVID situation changes, the TO is usually at the mercy of city ordinances, where a venue won't simply refund the TO for a canceled event unless the city forces the venue to shut down. A canceled event could mean instant crippling debt for the tournament organizer. Too often, I see talk about the irresponsibility of an event still running. I think there should be some sympathy for the fact that oftentimes a TO's hands are completely tied. The best they could do is to, bring up their safety measures. High key, venues are a disgusting business. I don't know if you guys remember, but a while back, there was a thread chastising Summit for being a scam. It was one of the stupidest fucking threads I've ever read by someone I don't have any respect for. So in that thread, we were talking about why don't we give that money instead to other events and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, it's going to go to venues, and venues are fucking shady and they're trash and they're really fucked up. They're fucked up business. Because Summit is a lot of like community people getting paid to do events, and they make a profit, and that's great. They should for doing events. I think the premise behind the thread, one of the ideas was to like put it back into these other events. And then I'm just thinking, dog, that's not going to go back to the community. That's just going to go to these venues. It's just going to go to some Holiday Inn somewhere where, they end up like charging extra for some surprise fee that the TO just has to deal with, or their events get canceled, right? So let me just continue with the thread, right? High-key venues are a disgusting business. If you feel your safety at the event isn't secured, don't go. If you can afford it, don't request a refund. If you can't afford it. I really thought that people would get mad at this because I've made a tweet like this before where people are like, nah, f*** that. Why would I do that? Blah, blah. I made that when I didn't request a refund for CEO Dreamland. That was during the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. I canceled and I told Jabali, I don't want a refund. Just keep the money. Like, it's really f***ed up for Jabali. This isn't his fault, etc. I thought people would get mad at that part of this thread, but everyone's been receptive, so that's cool. I don't think most TOs deserve any blame in this. Unless they're actually being blatantly irresponsible and doing nothing to up the safety for attendees, because there are locals and there are events that get run. For example, the ones that started during the pandemic, f*** that shit. There are TOs who don't give a fuck about COVID, and they actively believe against science pretty much, and then they blatantly try to run events. They don't care about masks. They don't do anything to try to care about attendees. And this is in the thick of 2020, before the vaccines and shit. So, those people deserve all the blame. But for the most part, when we're talking about big LAN events that have to deal with the COVID situation changing, a lot of times their hands are tied. But what they do is they do their best to up the safety of the event so that attendees can feel safer if they so choose to attend. And then lastly, I put in this. It's why you'll never see me post anything like this event needs to be canceled. If you care about safety, you shouldn't go. I don't type that type of stuff. I don't. Because I truly believe that all it does is hurt the TO who can't do anything about it anyway. And then meanwhile, these venues are going to get their money no matter what. I think the TOs are dealing with enough. And then to see top players or influential people on Twitter talk shit about an event, they don't name TOs directly, but like just to suggest that the TOs are doing something irresponsible. I feel for the TOs because I know it's not on them. They're kind of stuck in this situation where they have a contract or something along the lines of that, and the venue does not give a fuck about the safety of the people in the venue so long as they are covered legally, right? So if the city is not demanding that the event be shut down, then the venue is going to say, where's my money? I don't care if you don't run the event. We had a contract. We could have had a different event instead of you. Pay us the money, right? And again, it could be different in different situations, but from what I understand, that's how it is for a lot of TOs, and a lot of TOs have agreed with my sentiments. So I assume I'm kind of correct here. Venues will not give a shit about what's going on with COVID. They do not care. If the city doesn't deem it necessary to shut down the event, then the event has to continue. And then so you got two options, right? The TOs got two options. They run the event and they try their best to make it as safe as possible, or they cancel the whole event. They still have to pay the venue out of pocket, and that's in the tens of thousands. Literally life-ending, crippling debt. Not literally, they won't die, but their life might be over. Credit destroyed, in debt. It's terrible. So they gotta deal with it. Like, it's a gamble to even want to run tournaments. And honestly, I think TOing is already one of the most thankless jobs in Smash. So to have COVID on top of that, I guarantee you, with the amount of stress that TOs deal with, if they could just cancel the event because of COVID, they would. I think they would love to. They would love to just not do it and then wait till it's safe and then do it later. It's a labor of love, chat. Like, they don't make stupid money off of this. A lot of TOs have gone broke trying to run tournaments. So you're telling me that if they would have a shot to shut it down in the middle of COVID and then save themselves the luxury of going negative for the event, I think they would do it. So when you see Let's Make Big Moves is still going on, Genesis is still going on right now, they're not doing it because, they're like greedy and they're putting people at risk. They're doing it because they have a contract and they have to make the event run. And so the best they could do is try to make it as safe as possible for anyone that wants to go. And that's why I suggest that the people themselves decide if the event is safe enough for them or not. And if they decide it's not, don't go. And if you can't afford to, I would suggest not asking for a refund. Obviously, not everyone's in that same boat and you need the money. Okay, do what you got to do. But that's it. And then in my mind, that should be what it is. And because I know I'm in a position of influence, I wouldn't tweet that like, this event is not safe, this event needs to be shut down. I would never tweet anything like that. And if I wasn't going to go, I would just say, hey guys, not going to make it, just concerned for my own safety. And that's it. I kind of leave it at that, right? I'm literally thinking of Zayn handling it responsibly. I'm thinking of Zayn when he's decided not to go to events. He says, it's just not good for me right now to do such a thing when I live with people that are vulnerable. And then he just doesn't go, and that's it. He doesn't talk about how events shouldn't exist. He announces it because, his fans want to know, and then he's out. And I think that's the best way to handle it. Smash World Tour had a mask required, but people weren't enforcing it that hard. I'm not even going to be upset at anyone running. Who knows, right? Let's say a state or a city is not requiring vaccine cards for like restaurants and things like that. In some cases, you can't just decide to do that for your own event, right? You can't tell people you can't come in without a vax card if the city is not requesting it from people. Like, you could get in trouble for that. So sometimes events are relying on the city to have that rule before they can get away with that, if that's how the state works. Because if someone comes in, some asshole, and it's like, oh, you're saying I need to be vaccinated to get in here? But that's not the state's rules. F that shit. You're going to get in trouble, and I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could get dicey. Here's what I'm hoping. I have confidence. I know it's not a popular opinion, but I have some confidence that we got people working hard to figure out this Omicron shit and have some real ideas and guidance and possibly some kind of solution, aka like Omicron booster type shit, so that things don't have to go all the way locked down. With vaccinations out, I really doubt that anything's going to go all the way back to lockdown. I don't think that's going to happen. The country is too far gone for that to ever happen here. Omicron, more like Omicronically depressed. Wow, Mike, this isn't a joke, Mike. We're very clearly in a holiday surge. I'm hoping we find some kind of answer very soon. As for me, I'm going to go to Genesis, and then I'm going to lock down until I get a PCR test like 5 days later. Probably 2, just to be sure. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do. And I have the luxury to be able to do that. I know some people don't have that luxury. So I've seen people say, like, you know, like things like, if you care about people, the safety of people, you just won't go to Genesis or something. And like, I don't think that's necessarily fair to say. Well, one, I already said why I don't like comments like that being made publicly, because again, not the TO's fault. All that comments like that do is hurt the TOs more, because the venues are still going to get their money. The TOs are just going to go more broke. I understand what they're doing. They're looking out for the safety of people. I personally I know the situation. I'd rather just let people decide about their own safety and let the TOs up the amount of safety measures as much as they possibly can. And then that's where I stand. It's tough. It's tough all around. It's also not necessarily true that you don't care about the safety of people, because you can go to the event and then you could isolate after if you have that luxury, which I do, so that's what I'm going to do. And I hope others do too. Like, if you have the ability to isolate for a couple days so that you could get tested and make sure you're okay, and I'm talking PCR, rapid's been a little shit. But yeah, if you have the luxury of being able to isolate after an event like Genesis or Let's Make Big Moves, then I would suggest doing that, getting PCR tested, and then doing your thing, right? But I know some people don't, right? Some people have to go to work if they're not sick, which is really fucked up. I understand that. That's most people. Most people have to go back to school if they're not feeling sick. It's a fucking shit show, man. It's crazy. It feels like Omicron does not give a fuck about the vaccine. It's just spreading probably more than ever. And if you've chosen not to get the vaccine, even though you've been able to get it, you're not told by a doctor that you can't take it, and you're just choosing not to take it for whatever reason, well, off. Like, you're part of the reason that we're in this shit. And I don't with you. I can't deal with you. I don't care who you are. That's the end of it. Your anti-science bullshit is what's leaving us in this mess, and is almost bringing us back to probably the worst year of my life and the worst year of many people's lives. So you can right off with your fucking selfish ass choice. Get the fuck out of my life. I don't want you in my life anymore. And that goes for anybody. Man, I haven't had a Christmas in 2 years. I haven't had a New Year's in 2 years. You know how old I am, chat? I'm tired of this shit. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on the upcoming events. I will be attending Genesis. I won't be attending anything else around that time, I think. There's nothing else that I want to attend. Like, people asked me if I was going to go to Smash World Tour, but I had no business there. Like, I wasn't commentating and I wasn't entering. There's no way in hell I'm going to put myself at risk or in danger if I'm not working the event whatsoever. And by that, I mean going to Florida. That's not even with COVID. I'm talking COVID-free. That's still my response about going to Florida. I can't do Florida. Florida, I'm done. I'm done going to Florida. I'll go to Miami. Miami's cool. Orlando? Oh, God, f*** that place. It just sucks because I wanted to spit in all my homies' mouths, and now I can't. With consent. When I read that you're going to get f***ing yelled at for not having your mask on, I truly believe that's actually going to happen. I think someone there is just going to be yelling at people to get their fucking mask on. You know who they need? They need Lovage to do that. You know what Lovage does? Every time at Summit he saw someone without a mask, he'd point at you and he'd go, anti-max, anti-max, anti-vax, you guys. And then he'd sit down. And we just forgot, like, we just ate and then we kind of forgot to put it on. And then Lovage would come up to you and call you anti-mask. You'd be like, oh, okay, fine. You'd put it on. So we need Lovage walking around chastising everybody. You know what I mean? Make them feel bad. That's what we need. Yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Sorry about the inconsistent streams, but life happens. I was down bad over the last couple days. I'm feeling better, trying to get back into a routine. Thank you for everyone who's still subbed. Take care, y'all. Love you. All right, peace out, y'all. Good night. Later. I like to creep around my home and act like a goblin. The other day I was talking with my neighbors and they mentioned hearing weird noises and I was just internally screaming the entire conversation. I'm 99% sure they don't know it's me, but God, that 1% chance is seriously weighing on my mind.